Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the starting 11 prediction show. It's Liverpool, it's Palace, it's 3 o'clock, it's Saturday, it's a blackout game. If you're not going to be there, you're not going to be able to see it if you live in England, because that's how that works, and it sucks big time. But I'll be there regardless, so apologies. It is what it is. So we're here to predict Jurgen Klopp's starting 11 for this one, fresh off the back of beating AC Milan by 3-2 last night in the Champions League. We've just done the uncensored match build-up show, and I was a little bit sort of thrown by the conversations in the build-up show again. I know Steo did it to me for the build-up for the Milan game, and I've come out of it listening to Paul and Ben speaking, and I've come out of it thinking Jurgen might rotate this one quite heavily. So this is probably the balmiest of my predictions so far this season. It won't be the balmiest because there'll be Norwich next week, which will be completely different again and just a complete and utter guess. But I have put some random players into this one. I don't 100% think it will be what it will be, but it's a guess, so forgive me. So I'm going to start in goal with Alisson Becker, best goalkeeper in the world, obviously. I'm going to start with the best left-back in the world, Andy Robertson. Best centre-back in the world, Virgil van Dijk. And then I'm going to go new signing, Kanate, to play alongside Virgil van Dijk. I don't really want to see Joe probably play 2 games in sort of a few days and then potentially play in Norwich, although Nat Phillips could come in for Norwich. So I'm going with Virgil and Kanate playing at centre-half. I'm going to stick with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Then, I don't know why I've done this. I don't actually think he's going to do it, but I'm going to go, James will be in his ear going, lad, it's been a while now. Come on. I can play. So I don't know why. I don't actually think Klopp will play James Milner, but I've decided to put James Milner in the 6. I've paired him with Thiago and Jordan Henderson. And now as I'm looking at this team, I'm thinking, Chris, what were you doing, lads? I mean, I know it was only 45 minutes ago you lined the players up, but what a ridiculous 45 you've just had. Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, and then to top it off, I've gone with Takumi Minamino up front, which is a thing as well. So he's just bombing Divock Origi out the side after a decent performance. I'm going Queven Kelleher, Joe Matip, Joe Gomez, Kostas Tsimikas, Fabinho, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Kurt Jones, Naby Keita, and Diogo Jota. So I've completely bombed out Origi after that good performance against AC Milan. This is just not going to be the side at all. This should have been called the what's not going to be the starting 11 prediction show. And very funny for everyone who's about to start typing. That's what we should call every week's one, by the way. And you're probably right, because I very rarely get it right. But it's much harder than you think. And I commit mine to video, and you get to change your mind 700 times between now and the game, which is something that I do as well. Catch me in 45 minutes time, and I'll tell you that lad's not starting. It's going to be Fabinho in the centre of the park. And don't be ridiculous, Chris. It's the Premier League, so Diogo Jota's going to start. And that's probably closer to the starting 11. Or, you never know, we might see a little bit of a Kurt Jones in here alongside Thiago and Fabinho, and maybe give the captain a little bit of a rest. You might see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Who knows? Only Jurgen Klopp, and I'm not sure. Oh wow, Jack Lloyd thinks I think you're right. He thinks I'm right. He thinks, oh, that's all the confidence I needed. There we go, lads. Get back in there. No messing around. Kurt Jones, you've demoted. Back to the bench because Jack thinks I'm right, and I like that. I like that a lot. Got to go Hendo, Fab, Thiago, says Arman Suzy. Hendo, Fab, Thiago. Oh, I put Milner in, didn't I? Yeah. I mean, that midfield's, I think, the strongest midfield. I do think that Milner's going to play at some point. I mean, maybe it's Norwich, Chris. Maybe you've answered your own question there. Maybe it's Kurt Jones or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain that stays in here. But I've just got a sneaking suspicion that Milner might play somewhere in this one. As I say, it'd be a bit of a mad one, wouldn't it, when you're changing essentially the spine of your side. But these 3 players against Milan, they were the best 3 players on the pitch as far as playing with each other was concerned. So Jordan Henderson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mo Salah, the way those 3 sort of combined, I'd keep them together. I really liked Robbo as well on that left-hand side with Diogo Jota. I thought Jota was really good at playing that Mane role of getting into the box. And I thought Divock Origi did a good job in the centre as well, regardless. Divock on the bench for Ox. I think Divock been better than him this season, says Sundeep. It's a fair point. Kostas will probably play all the first 11. We'll have a full week break with the League Cup on Wednesday. Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, if you throw Kostas in for this, then you're throwing Kostas in for 2 games, and then you're giving Robbo a week and a half off. And that's the other thing to sort of consider here, isn't it? I mean, it's probably more likely that he just puts the best side out, because again, you don't really want to give Matip a week and a half off, but then equally on the flip side, you don't really want Matip to play 3 games back to back in the course of a week. I think it's a real tricky match because of the timing of it, because of the opposition being in the League Cup, although they are Premier League opposition, that we might not see that fully rotated side against Norwich, because I think he might show them the respect that them being a Premier League side deserves. I think there is a little part of me that thinks that, you know, that League Cup, as much as I want to see an FA Cup win maybe this season, do I really want to be going all out for the League Cup when I think every Liverpool fan would agree with me, our squad isn't as good as Man City or Chelsea's? When you consider the length and breadth of the entire squad, maybe the 24, 25 man squads by comparison. I think 16 to 17 were there or thereabouts. Although I think their forward options are better than ours. So yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is, I'm not sure he goes like fully rotated for Norwich anymore. I don't know, but we'll see in the fullness of time, I suppose. Masego Muramagolo says Chimacas to start. I said your surname with a heck of a lot of confidence, and I'm confident that I said it completely wrong, so apologies. Play strong against Palace. They look great against Spurs. We've got to stay on the pace. It's a good point, isn't it, about the Spurs thing? I think they look decent. Obviously, Tanganga got sent off for Tottenham Hotspur. The result against West Ham is where I'm looking at, to be honest with you, and saying, look, they're a good side there. They've done well against West Ham. I think they had a tough game, start of the season against Chelsea, etc. It's Crossbow, sent us 179. I really want to see Kelleher and Jones get a chance, and I think you will. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I think you will get to see Kelleher and Jones get a chance, and I think that chance is going to be against Norwich in the League Cup. Again, there's no player on the board here, and I include the substitutes here, that I'd be surprised to see Jürgen starting in this one, because it could just as easily be Divock in here again and give Jota the little rest. I'd be surprised if Salah doesn't start in the Premier League. That would be the only player there. I could make a case for Costas. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Salah, for me, Alisson in the Premier League games, and now Virgil van Dijk having the time off midweek. 1, 2, 3, 4 untouchables, I say. They're lads that are going to play in the Premier League every single week for me. You could swap one of these guys out, Thiago for a Jones or a Keita, or same for Jordan Henderson, maybe Ox as well, something like that. A Milner for a Fabinho, a Costas for a Robertson, Mane for a Jota, etc, etc. I could see 1 or 2 of all of the other players changing, but him, and him, no, they don't. I don't see that Nico Williams comes in for this one. I don't see that we've got anyone who can play Salah's role to anywhere near the standard that Salah does it. Virgil van Dijk's just had a rest, so he's untouchable, and Alisson's the goalkeeper, so there's no need. I think Fab is untouchable too. He's too important the way he breaks up play, says Arman. I agree with you on Fabinho. I think he is so important. Why I wouldn't put him as one of the untouchables is because there's a lack of depth behind him, and you could say the same for Trent, to be fair, if you were arguing against me here. Maybe I agree with you. Maybe I do think he's one of those untouchables, but I can just see him being subbed. I think he's one of the most important players in the side, certainly. I think we're a completely different football side with Fabinho in the 6, and a much better side with Fabinho in the 6 than any other player there. Milner, Thiago, Jordan Henderson, etc, etc. But I do think we know how to win games with Jordan in the 6 and Milner in the 6, to be fair. I think he started there against Norwich, first game of the season. So yeah, I'm actually pissed off by the Salah FIFA 22 rating, says Hala the person. I'm not. I don't play FIFA. I don't really care what the FIFA ratings are. But it's never really bothered me unless I play the game, for obvious reasons. I'm sure you just wanted to play with Liverpool and you wanted Salah to be as good as he actually is, so I totally understand that. Rest Matip, start Gomez, then start Kanate and Phillips versus Norwich, says Klopp. Rest Matip, start Gomez. Okay, where are we going then? Rest Matip, start Gomez. Then play Phillips and Kanate against Norwich. Again, yeah, I wouldn't. My only issue there is that you know, you're giving Matip a lot of time off, I suppose, aren't you? Which I've done anyway, actually, thinking about it. don't know. I made a point to the lads on the uncensored match build-up. So if you're going to play your first choice centre-back playing with your fourth and play your second and your third choice together, because the drop-off, well, they're going to be equal-ish partnerships, so you 1 and 4, as you 2 and 3, I suppose. It's a bit like seeding in the NFL. Surely Chimicas for Robertson. Mate, I've come back with one of the strangest teams here, so apologies. But yeah, I mean, I've put Minamino up front, and there's literally no signs of that happening so far this season. I've also dropped Milner in the 6. I've clearly just had a bit of a laugh. You know what? I'm going to get it wrong anyway. I may as well get it wrong by whipping it out and going big time on it. Bring back Phillips, says Golo Productions. Phillips and Matip for Norwich and Van Dijk and Canate for Palace, says it's Crossbow again. Put John Barnes on the left, says Ned. What a player he was indeed. Yeah, I mean, I was born in 82, so, you know, just starting to really get into football when John Barnes was playing on that left-hand side for us. So my memories of John Barnes are probably like my memories of being at the game anyway, probably more as a centre midfielder than a left winger, which was more like telly and stuff like that. But my dad had started taking me to the game, and he was playing centre midfield at the time, which if you had the choice of having a memory of him as a left winger or a centre midfielder, you'd definitely rather see him as a left winger, because he wasn't exceptional in the centre middle, but he was getting on a little bit, and he was told by Evans to keep the ball. So it is what it is, regardless. I did not think I'd be talking about John Barnes and my memories of him. Our centre-back depth is so strong. What makes me worried is our attacking options. We don't have many. Think we should sign the Emmy in January. Don't know who he is, so apologies for that one. I'm sure you're right, though. But you are right. If there is one area of the squad that is the weakest now in terms of numbers and quality, I think, you know, we've got good options at the back. I think Nico's a fine understudy. I think Kostas is a fine understudy, a good understudy. Centre-backs were sound. Midfielders, we've got loads and loads of options. It depends whether Minamino steps up to the plate like Origi does. Because if Minamino steps up to the plate and Origi can step up to the plate and we can put good performances in against good sides, AC Milan good side, Divock Origi started up front against them, we won the game and he played really all right, then actually our options aren't as bad as I feared. It's when you're seeing teams or lineups like Leeds when Origi's not on the bench and you got that fear of like, oh my God, he can't even make the bench, he must be shit. He must be doing something wrong. But when he comes in and proves you wrong and he goes in and puts in a good performance and you win the game, crucially, then Origi's a fine option again now for me, because I've seen it with my own 2 eyes this season. I want Minamino to do the same. I want him to kick on from that pre-season. I want him to show us that he can be a player for Liverpool, a good squad player. And then the numbers aren't looking so bad when you bring Bobby back into the fore. Yes, the quality's not quite there. Well, it's not there with the Salahs, your Manes, your Jota and your Firmino, with Minamino and Origi. And I don't think we'll ever get there with Origi, but Minamino's got a chance. And I said on the last starting 11, I'm not willing to write him off just yet, because I've not seen enough of him to be able to tell you that he's definitely crap. So for me, he's a good player at the moment, and he's going to prove me wrong, or he's going to prove me right. And so there you go. That has been the starting 11 prediction show. I've got absolutely no chance of getting this one right. I know that. I knew that before I put them on the board. But thank you very much for watching me. Don't forget to like the video, and we'll be back, of course, for the game at the weekend. Ta-ra.
When you make that save, I was like, oh, he saved my life. And I see like Carragher straight come to me, like, what's going on? I'm like, whoa.
What you do then? I'm like, I'm a footballer, songwriter, singer, astronaut,
like, cowboy.
And I'm like, no, really.
I think it was sharing that moment with my mates, so like Henderson, Andy Carroll, Spio and stuff. It was a moment I'll never forget.
I would have told like my 10-year-old self when I'm pretending to be Steve McManaman on the wing that I'd be like shaking his hand and just having a normal conversation with him. It's crazy.
Today I scored 4 goals in training, huh? Believe me.
And you know, piggybacks. Steve Finnan, I bent down, Steve Finnan pushed on the bottom of my back, jumped over me, and that's what started my back injury off.
It was fantastic to come to Liverpool, because this was my club.
I want to focus on, you know, trying to make people's lives better in my community, but I always will as well represent what we are, which is football fans.
I signed for Liverpool, King Kenny signed me, and I will always be grateful to that, because he gave me the chance, obviously, to become a better footballer and one of the biggest clubs, for me the biggest.
I was so happy not only with myself, but also with the first title after 10 years. I was really happy that I was able to make that save to win the first cup.
Building an organisation, a culture, a structure within the club that has done everything it needs to do to give Jurgen and the team everything they need to do to lift these 4 trophies over this period and many more to come.